On August 15th, 2019, President Donald Trump expressed a remarkable interest, stating, essentially, it's a large real estate deal. A lot of things can be done. He was referring to the possibility of the United States purchasing Greenland, the world's largest island, and an autonomous Danish territory. This unexpected declaration set off a diplomatic whirlwind, leaving Denmark and the international community in a state of astonishment and confusion. August 2019 was no stranger to surprises, but few could have anticipated the bold ambition President Donald Trump unveiled to the world. Greenland, the sprawling Arctic territory known for its glaciers and raw, untapped potential, was suddenly in the crosshairs of the United States' geopolitical ambitions. Essentially, it's a large real estate deal, Trump remarked casually. But behind that remark lay a calculated plan with far-reaching implications. For decades, Greenland has been of interest to strategic thinkers. Its geographic location places it squarely between North America and Europe, making it a critical Arctic hub for military and trade operations. Its air bases, including Thule Air Base, a U.S.-run installation, have played a vital role in monitoring missile activity and providing an early warning system for North American defense. However, Greenland's potential isn't just military. It's deeply rooted in its natural resources. The Arctic region holds an estimated 13% of the world's undiscovered oil and 30% of its undiscovered natural gas. Greenland specifically has significant reserves of rare earth minerals, elements critical to the production of high-tech devices, renewable energy technologies, and advanced weaponry. In an era where these resources are becoming increasingly vital to economic and national security, Greenland's allure is undeniable. Trump's administration saw an opportunity: secure Greenland, secure these assets, and outpace competitors like China and Russia, which had shown growing interest in the Arctic. Trump's idea, however, wasn't new. The United States had expressed interest in Greenland before. In 1867, Secretary of State William H. Seward explored the possibility of acquiring the territory. Later, during World War II, the U.S. considered purchasing Greenland as a means to fortify its Atlantic defenses. In 1946, President Harry Truman formally offered Denmark $100 million in gold for the island, a proposal that Denmark politely declined. Fast forward to 2019, and Trump's administration saw an opportunity to rekindle the conversation. Greenland's economic challenges and reliance on Danish subsidies were seen as potential leverage points. With a population of just over 56,000 and an economy heavily dependent on fishing and tourism, Greenland faced significant financial limitations. By framing the acquisition as a win-win, offering economic development and greater autonomy for Greenland while securing strategic benefits for the U.S., Trump believed he could sell the idea to both Greenland and Denmark. However, the reaction was swift and overwhelmingly negative. Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen, upon hearing of Trump's interest, described the proposal as absurd. She reiterated Denmark's commitment to Greenland's sovereignty and autonomy, calling it not something to be bought and sold. Her blunt response angered Trump, who canceled his planned state visit to Denmark, citing her dismissal as disrespectful. Greenland's leadership also weighed in. Premier Kim Kielsen emphasized that Greenland was not for sale and that its future would be determined by its people. The sentiment was echoed by Inuit Ataqatigiit, a Greenlandic political party, which stressed the importance of maintaining control over the island's vast natural resources and protecting its indigenous culture. Despite the public backlash, Trump's administration did not retreat. Behind closed doors, discussions continued. The U.S. Department of State explored ways to increase economic investments in Greenland, such as funding infrastructure projects and scientific research. By offering financial incentives and fostering closer ties with Greenland's government, the administration sought to build influence without directly challenging Denmark's sovereignty. Media coverage of the Greenland proposal was a mix of astonishment and ridicule. Late-night talk shows lampooned the idea, with some comparing it to a reality TV stunt. Yet within diplomatic and military circles, the proposal was taken seriously. Analysts highlighted the strategic importance of securing a foothold in the Arctic, especially as melting ice caps opened new shipping routes and exposed untapped resources. The proposal, however, also raised ethical and geopolitical concerns. Critics argued that the move echoed colonialist attitudes, treating Greenland and its people as commodities to be bargained over. Others pointed out that such an acquisition could strain U.S. alliances, not just with Denmark, but also with other NATO members who viewed the proposal as an unnecessary provocation. As the first act of this saga drew to a close, it was clear that Trump's Greenland Gambit was more than just an audacious real estate pitch. It was a strategic play that exposed the shifting dynamics of global power and the growing importance of the Arctic in the 21st century. Yet, for all its boldness, it also revealed the complexities of pursuing such ambitions in a world where sovereignty, diplomacy, and public opinion remain formidable barriers. When President Trump's proposal to buy Greenland was publicly dismissed as absurd by Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen, the fallout was swift and dramatic. What might have started as a bold diplomatic gamble quickly escalated into a full-blown diplomatic crisis, reshaping the U.S.-Denmark relationship and sparking global debate about sovereignty, power, and ambition. Trump, who had planned a state visit to Denmark in September 2019, abruptly canceled the trip, citing Frederiksen's refusal to even consider the offer. He characterized her remarks as nasty and disrespectful, saying, "You don't talk to the United States that way, at least under me." The cancellation shocked Denmark, a key NATO ally, and strained what had been a historically cooperative relationship between the two nations. Danish leaders and citizens were stunned by the move, with some calling it petty and others seeing it as emblematic of Trump's unconventional approach to diplomacy. The Danish media, political commentators, and even the royal family were drawn into the fray. Former Danish Prime Minister Helle Thorning-Schmidt expressed disbelief, calling Trump's actions deeply insulting. Denmark, a country known for its stability and diplomatic finesse, was suddenly thrust into a global controversy that it hadn't sought. Public sentiment in Denmark was clear. Greenland was not for sale, and the proposal was viewed as an affront to their national pride and sovereignty. For Greenland itself, the fallout from the proposal brought both challenges and opportunities. While its leaders stood firmly with Denmark in rejecting the idea of a sale, the renewed international attention highlighted Greenland's strategic and economic significance. The island, home to a mostly indigenous population, has long grappled with its identity and relationship with Denmark. Greenland is an autonomous territory, but remains dependent on Denmark for financial support, receiving an annual subsidy of approximately $600 million. The U.S. pivoted its approach, attempting to work around Denmark by engaging Greenland's local government directly. U.S. officials, including Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, began courting Greenlandic leaders with promises of economic development, scientific collaboration, and increased investments in infrastructure. The United States even reopened a consulate in Nuuk, Greenland's capital, marking the first time since 1953 that America had maintained a diplomatic presence on the island. This move was seen as part of a broader Arctic strategy by the Trump administration, aimed at countering growing Chinese and Russian influence in the region. China had made significant inroads in the Arctic, including proposing investments in Greenlandic airports and mining operations. Russia, too, had ramped up its military presence in the Arctic, staking claims to undersea resources and expanding its fleet of icebreakers. For the U.S., securing stronger ties with Greenland was not just about natural resources, but also about maintaining dominance in an increasingly contested Arctic. The fallout also exposed internal divisions within Greenland. While many Greenlanders supported the government's rejection of Trump's offer, the attention spurred a renewed debate about independence. Some saw the U.S. interest as an opportunity to assert greater autonomy from Denmark, arguing that increased foreign investments could reduce Greenland's reliance on Danish subsidies. Others, however, were wary of becoming entangled in a geopolitical tug-of-war, emphasizing the need to protect Greenland's unique environment and cultural heritage. Internationally, Trump's Greenland Gambit raised questions about the ethics of territorial ambitions in the modern era. The notion of buying a territory evoked memories of colonialism, where powerful nations treated lands and their inhabitants as commodities to be traded. Critics argued that Trump's proposal ignored the rights and desires of Greenland's indigenous population, treating the island as a mere geopolitical asset rather than a homeland with its own culture, history, and aspirations. Meanwhile, other Arctic nations watched the situation closely. Canada, Norway, and Russia all have stakes in the Arctic and were keenly aware of the potential implications of the U.S. push for Greenland. The controversy highlighted the growing strategic importance of the region, as melting ice caps opened new shipping lanes and exposed previously inaccessible natural resources. The Arctic was no longer a frozen frontier, but a dynamic arena for global competition. As tensions simmered, the diplomatic fallout from Trump's Greenland Gambit extended beyond the Arctic. NATO allies expressed concerns about the potential destabilization of U.S.-Denmark relations, particularly at a time when transatlantic unity was already under strain. Trump's criticism of NATO, his trade disputes with European nations, and now his Greenland proposal contributed to an atmosphere of uncertainty and mistrust among allies. By the end of 2019, the fallout from Trump's Greenland proposal had left a lasting impact. It had strained U.S.-Denmark relations, raised Greenland's profile on the world stage, and underscored the growing strategic importance of the Arctic. The episode revealed the complexities of balancing national sovereignty, international alliances, and global ambitions in an era where the rules of engagement are constantly evolving. What began as a bold and unconventional proposal had become a symbol of the broader challenges facing the world in the 21st century. The tension between power and principle, the allure of untapped resources, and the ever-shifting dynamics of global politics. Greenland, once a largely overlooked territory, had become the focal point of an international drama with implications far beyond its icy shores. The Greenland proposal, which started as a bold statement from President Trump, quickly spiraled into a significant geopolitical and environmental debate. As the initial diplomatic sparks cooled, the far-reaching implications of the situation began to crystallize, revealing critical insights about power dynamics, Arctic geopolitics, and the future of Greenland itself. Trump's attempt to buy Greenland underscored a broader trend. The Arctic was becoming a geopolitical hotspot. Climate change had transformed the region, melting ice caps and exposing new opportunities for resource extraction and shipping routes. What was once a remote and inaccessible area now promised economic and strategic rewards. For the United States, Greenland represented a linchpin in its Arctic strategy. Its geographic location was ideal for monitoring Russian activities and securing control over emerging Arctic trade routes. As Arctic ice recedes, new maritime pathways like the Northern Sea Route and the Northwest Passage are shortening travel distances between major markets in Asia, Europe, and North America. These routes, which bypass traditional choke points like the Suez Canal, are critical for global commerce and military strategy. Beyond trade routes, Greenland's untapped reserves of rare earth minerals made it a key player in the global supply chain for high-tech manufacturing. These minerals are essential for producing everything from smartphones to electric vehicles to advanced military systems. Currently, China dominates the global production and refining of rare earth elements, creating a dependency that the United States sees as a vulnerability. Acquiring Greenland, or at least securing significant influence over its resources, would have been a strategic victory in reducing reliance on Chinese supplies. The implications for Denmark were equally significant. Though Greenland operates as an autonomous territory, it remains part of the Kingdom of Denmark. Losing Greenland would have reduced Denmark's territorial size by 98%, stripping it of its status as an Arctic nation and diminishing its geopolitical influence. The controversy also raised questions about Denmark's ability to manage Greenland's development and its relationships with external powers. For Greenland, the spotlight brought both opportunities and challenges. As one of the least populated territories in the world, with around 56,000 residents, most of whom are indigenous Inuit, Greenland had long struggled with economic limitations. Its economy relies heavily on fishing and tourism, with Danish subsidies accounting for about two-thirds of its annual budget. The prospect of foreign investments, particularly from the United States, was appealing to some Greenlanders who saw an opportunity to diversify the economy and reduce dependency on Denmark. However, the prospect of becoming entangled in a global power struggle worried many residents. Greenland's leaders, including Premier Kim Kielsen, expressed concerns about maintaining sovereignty and protecting the island's fragile ecosystem. Greenland is home to one of the planet's most pristine environments, with unique wildlife and critical ice sheets that play a key role in regulating the Earth's climate. Increased industrial activity, driven by mining and other resource extraction, could pose significant risks to the environment and indigenous ways of life. The controversy also revived discussions about Greenland's independence. Many Greenlanders aspire to full sovereignty, and the island's strategic importance has given its leaders new leverage in negotiations with Denmark. However, independence would require Greenland to become economically self-sufficient, a goal that remains challenging given its limited infrastructure and reliance on subsidies. The fallout from Trump's proposal also had broader implications for Arctic geopolitics. The region has become a stage for competition among global powers, with the United States, Russia, and China vying for influence. Russia, with its expansive Arctic coastline, has been aggressively asserting its presence, building military bases, deploying icebreakers, and staking territorial claims. China, though geographically distant, has declared itself a near-Arctic state and invested heavily in the region, including infrastructure projects in Greenland. The United States, which had previously taken a back seat in Arctic affairs, began ramping up its involvement. The Trump administration's focus on Greenland highlighted the importance of maintaining a foothold in the region, not just for economic reasons, but also to counterbalance Russian and Chinese ambitions. The reopening of the U.S. consulate in Nuuk and increased investments in Arctic infrastructure signaled a renewed commitment to the region. However, the controversy also raised questions about the ethics of these power struggles. Indigenous communities across the Arctic, including in Greenland, have voiced concerns about being sidelined in decisions that directly impact their lands and livelihoods. The scramble for resources and territory has often overlooked the rights and aspirations of the people who have lived in the region for millennia. Beyond geopolitics, the Greenland episode highlighted the environmental stakes of the Arctic's transformation. As climate change accelerates, the Arctic is warming at nearly 4 times the global average. Melting ice caps are contributing to rising sea levels, threatening coastal communities worldwide. Greenland's ice sheet alone contains enough frozen water to raise global sea levels by over 20 feet if fully melted. The race to exploit the Arctic's resources risks exacerbating these environmental challenges. Mining, drilling, and increased shipping activity could accelerate ice loss and disrupt delicate ecosystems. Environmentalists have warned that short-term economic gains could come at the expense of long-term climate stability, with devastating consequences for the planet. The Greenland controversy serves as a microcosm of the challenges facing the modern world. Balancing economic ambition with environmental responsibility, navigating the complexities of sovereignty and self-determination, and managing competition in an increasingly interconnected global landscape. For President Trump, the proposal was a bold gamble that ultimately fell flat. Yet, it succeeded in bringing attention to Greenland and the Arctic, forcing the world to confront the region's growing importance. For Denmark, it was a reminder of the need to balance its commitments to Greenland with the realities of global politics. And for Greenland itself, it was an opportunity to assert its role as a key player on the world stage, while grappling with the opportunities and risks of its newfound prominence. As the Arctic continues to melt, both literally and figuratively, the lessons of Trump's Greenland Gambit will resonate for years to come. The stakes in this icy frontier are higher than ever, and the decisions made today will shape the future of the region and the planet for generations to come. The Greenland saga was more than a bold idea. It was a glimpse into the fierce competition for the Arctic's future. While Trump's proposal faded, it left lasting questions about sovereignty, climate, and power in a rapidly changing world. Greenland remains steadfast, a symbol of resilience in the face of global ambitions. Thank you for watching. And remember, the world's most fascinating stories are often just beneath the surface. Stay curious.